Austin invented the term performative to refer to certain utterances which cannot be said to be true or false in the ordinary sense, because they constitute an action rather than report a fact. For example, if you promise to do something, it's rather like naming a ship or baptizing a child. You can do it happily or unhappily, Austin used to say. That is, you can fulfill the action or you can fail to fulfill it. Austin died in 1960. There's one recording of him lecturing that survives. It was made by an amateur at a lecture in Gothenburg a year before Austin's death. The quality's poor, but here's an excerpt from it.
Even in ceremonies or rituals that are not verbal at all, we have devices which in just the same way make explicit what act is being performed. For example, supposing I appear before you and bow deeply from the waist. It may be quite uncertain what I am doing. I may be simply bending down to observe the flowers or to tie my shoelace. But it's possible that what I am doing is some form of obeisance to you, some form of homage. Now, in order to clear up this unfortunate kind of ambiguity, we usually invent some little device such as raising our hat or saying salam, with which to accompany the bow, and by means of which to make our act explicitly and unambiguously one of doing obeisance or homage. Nobody would wish to say, however, that raising your hat describes what you are doing. It merely makes it, constitutes it explicitly an act of homage. And so, putting I promise that at the head of the performative utterance makes explicit what act you are doing, and eo ipso does the act, but it does not describe it.
Austin came to doubt whether even ordinary statements of fact are always either true or false. He began to suspect that they too can be subject to happiness or unhappiness in the same way as performatives, for example, in the case of historical statements.
And so with Lord Raglan and the Battle of Alma. Alma, in case you didn't know, why should you, was what we call a soldier's battle, if ever there was one. Well, of course, Lord Raglan was in command. Ordinarily, he was in command of the British, though not of the French, and the French were supposed to do what the British indicated they would like them to do, and to a minor extent possibly did so. It happens to be true that none of Lord Raglan's orders were ever transmitted. Well, did he win the Battle of Alma? Not, of course, in some context. It's perfectly justifiable to say so. Something of an exaggeration, maybe. Of course, any question of giving the old fool a medal for it, that's rather a different matter. One wouldn't want to dwell on his having won the battle in that case.